The following is an address by Senator Andre Lewis, leader of the Unions and Staff Associations and president of the Grenada Trade Union Council.
National address on the current industrial impasse between the government of Grenada and the Unions and Staff Associations. Citizens of Grenada, sisters and brothers, comrades all, good night. Tonight I address you in my capacity as the leader of the Unions and Staff Associations, UNSA, regarding the matter of pension and gratuity for public sector workers. I am sure that you will have heard and continue to hear the ongoing discussions and pronouncements on the issue. Today, the government's Pension Engagement Committee and the Unions and Staff Associations met at this table, which we hoped is the new table that Bishop Clive Harvey spoke about in his address yesterday, Thursday, November 22nd, 2018. The table that will allow for the gratuity of 25% to be paid as a lump sum or gratuity upfront. It will be important to give a brief background. The Unions and Staff Associations have been fighting for the restoration of pension and gratuity for public officers who were denied this benefit following the Pension Disqualification Act, PDA, passed by the PRG in 1983 and validated by Parliament in February 1985. All attempts at resolving the matter with the various governments proved futile. In 2011, the Unions and Staff Associations were able to get a brave worker, a courageous worker by the name of Sister Humlin Armstrong, to file a case against the government demanding that she be paid a state pension and that the Pension Disqualification Act was unconstitutional. The court ruled in Sister Armstrong's favor. Following that ruling in Sister Armstrong's favor, the government and Union and Staff Associations continued the ongoing discussions for the restoration of pension for public officers. The discussions always centered around the pre-1983 formula for pension and gratuity, in other words, the 1958 formula. This pension and gratuity formula allows for a worker to receive the full pension paid monthly. In this way, the workers receive a larger monthly payment, or a gratuity, which is a lump sum payment, and to receive a reduced pension paid monthly. This monthly payment would be smaller than where the worker received a gratuity. After many rounds of arguments and counter-arguments, the government and the Union and Staff Associations agreed to forego any legal approach and to take a negotiated approach to arriving at a settlement. This was influenced by the fact that no one knew for certain what the outcome of a court matter may be, and it can also be very time-consuming. Apart from the formula for pension which was agreed upon during the discussions, the parties agreed to continue discussions on some other matters. With the above in mind, the parties signed a Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, on February 18, 2018 regarding pension for public officers. The government has argued that when they signed the MOU, there was no agreement that gratuity was 25%. This is furthest from the truth. Unions and staff associations always willing to meet. Sisters, brothers, comrades, Grenadians all, the unions accepted an invitation from the Grenada Conference of Churches and the Grenada Private Sector Organization and met with them on the afternoon of Sunday, November 18th, 2018. The representatives from the churches and private sector informed that they had held a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell on Saturday, November 17th, 2018, at which he expressed government's desire to return to the table with the unions and staff associations. The churches and private sector representatives informed that Dr. Mitchell said the government has accepted that gratuity was 25%. However, they would like to be able to discuss with the Unions and Staff Association possible permutations for its payment. The unions immediately accepted this. It was agreed that the government would put in writing that they agreed that gratuity was 25% and that the parties will meet to determine how it could be paid. Following the above meeting with the churches and private sector representatives, the unions met with the Minister for Labour, Honorable Peter David, and Labour Commissioner Cyrus Griffith, on the evening of Monday, November 19, 2018. At that meeting, which ended sometime after 8 p.m., the unions repeated what was told to us by the churches and private sector representatives and advised that this would bring about an end to the impasse and a return to the negotiating table once the government sends their acceptance in writing. It was important to get the Prime Minister's acceptance in writing to prevent any further misunderstanding at the negotiating table. The unions were promised a letter by the morning of Tuesday, November 20, 2018. However, it was not until sometime close to 3 p.m. that a letter was received from the government. This letter did not reflect the commitment given by the Prime Minister to the churches and private sector representatives. Sisters, brothers, comrades, and citizens all, we could not go back to the table without getting the Prime Minister's commitment in writing. Given our experience after the signing of the Memorandum of Understanding, we could no longer take the word of the government. We could no longer just rely on promises. The government knew all along, before the signing of the MOU, that we all agreed gratuity was 25%. Our experience is that once the general election was won, they then unilaterally changed the 25% gratuity to 2%. This is after they, by way of letter dated June 13, 2018, had proposed, among other things, that, and I quote, calculation of gratuity is that the formula should be adjusted to allow for the payment of a gratuity of 50% of what is due and the rest to be paid in the form of a monthly payment. End of quotation. In other words, the government was asking the unions and staff associations to accept 12.5% upfront and to discuss the payment of the other 12.5%. After the government tore up the Memorandum of Understanding or changed their minds on the 25% gratuity to 2%, the unions had to turn to industrial actions to fight for our dignity and fight for our bread and butter after retirement. Fight to ensure that government keep their agreement. The government then moved to an injunction application from the court to ban workers from striking. In other words, stop workers from rejoining their labor. Fellow Grenadians, sisters and brothers, comrades all, today, Friday, November 23, 2018, we attended a meeting with the government's Pension Engagement Committee. We went there very hopeful, looking to resolve the issue of 25% gratuity, which was agreed during the signing of the Memorandum of Agreement in February 2018, and in keeping with the promise made by the Prime Minister, Dr. Keith Mitchell, to the Conference of Churches and Private Sector Organizations. This meeting was also attended by the Minister for Trade, Honorable Oliver Joseph. At the meeting, the unions and staff associations repeated that our demands for the 25% gratuity with discussions as to how it could be paid. Honorable Joseph said that it was the first time he was hearing that the unions and staff associations were holding fast to 0.25 or 25% or quarter to be used as one of the elements in determining gratuity. This the unions and staff associations found to be very questionable. Everyone in Grenada knows that our demands are exactly 25% or 1/4 or 0.25. Honorable Joseph undertook to discuss the matter with Cabinet on Monday, November 26, 2018, and then to let us know the response. The unions informed that we are looking forward to receiving the information, but will continue with any planned action since we saw this as a further attempt to delay us. Call to heightened industrial actions. Fellow Grenadians, brothers and sisters, comrades all, given what has transpired today, the general public is hereby advised that the unions will continue their industrial actions on Monday and Tuesday of next week. On Wednesday, November 28, 2018, there will be a mass march and rally from the National Stadium to Tantin along the route that was used on Tuesday, November 20th, 2018. The Grenada Technical and Allied Workers Union will write and inform employers in some workplaces represented by the union that some non-critical members, I want to repeat, that some non-critical members will be called upon to join in the march as a show of solidarity. This is in keeping with the resolution passed at TAU's General Council on Thursday, November 22nd, 2018, where workers from Grenada Airports Authority, Grenada Electricity Services, Grenada Ports Authority, Grenada Breweries Limited, National Water and Sewage Authority, Vector Control, and Grenada Solid Waste Management Authority, among other workplaces, called upon the union to provide the necessary solidarity and support to the public sector pension and gratuity struggle. And in this context, we shall join the march and rally on Wednesday. Our struggles carried out on the negotiating table or through social media, traditional media, the airwaves, or on the streets are all designed to secure the future of our working people. This is for the established and unestablished sector workers. This is for the future of our Imani workers. This is for the future of the so-called contract workers. This is for the future of our nation's children. In closing, I take this opportunity to salute the teachers of our nation for their dedication and commitment to our students. I salute the workers of the public service for their commitment to country. I must especially praise our doctors, nurses, orderlies, cooks, and security officers at our health service. I salute our police officers and prison officers and will continue to be an advocate for better conditions for you. I also commend the students who marched on Thursday, November 22nd, 2018, calling for a resolution. We commit to continue working towards a settlement so that they can return to the classrooms. I thank Bishop Clive Harvey for adding his voice and calling us to be guided by truth as the parties work towards a settlement. To you, the members of the general public, thank you very much for your ongoing support and words of encouragement. The march and rally can be avoided if the government of Grenada honors the 25% gratuity that was agreed to in the Memorandum of Understanding. In closing, we repeat, understanding the different challenges that our country faces, we are open and flexible to finding different arrangements to the payment of the 25% gratuity.
The proceeding was an address by Senator Andre Lewis, leader of the Unions and Staff Associations and president of the Grenada Trade Union Council.